As of July 2025, no credible or verifiable evidence exists that China has delivered J-10C fighter jets to Iran, despite widespread online narratives, social media amplification, and claims made by regional and partisan outlets. The supposed delivery of 40 J-10C aircraft has been presented as fact by several unauthenticated sources, yet not a single piece of confirmed data, satellite imagery, aircraft registration records, flight tracking logs, customs documentation, or imagery from Iranian airbases, supports these assertions. The situation is an example of how information warfare and perception management are used in defense reporting, where narratives are deployed to serve political, psychological, and strategic goals even when uncorroborated by ground-level realities. In late June 2025, the Iranian defense minister traveled to China and held talks focused on deepening military cooperation. Among the topics reportedly discussed was Iran's interest in acquiring the J-10C, a Chinese fourth-generation multirole fighter jet. This interest was not new. Iran had previously expressed intent to acquire advanced Chinese fighter jets as early as 2015, but negotiations at the time reportedly stalled over issues related to payment methods. Iran sought to pay in crude oil or via barter, while China, according to reports from that time, demanded hard currency or clear credit structures. These economic disagreements, along with international sanctions and geopolitical sensitivity, derailed those discussions. The recent revival of this interest appears to be a direct response to Russia's failure to deliver the full batch of Su-35 fighter jets that were expected as part of an earlier agreement. Only a small number of Su-35s, possibly fewer than 5, have reached Iran, with no timeline provided for the remainder. Following these delays, Iran appears to have pivoted toward China, whose defense industry is positioned as an emerging supplier of modern but export-available combat aircraft. The J-10C became the apparent aircraft of interest, with some regional media claiming Iran sought a fleet of 36 to 40 jets to rebuild its deteriorating air combat capacity. However, despite a surge in online speculation and analysis, the reality remains unchanged. There is no concrete evidence of any contract having been signed, nor any confirmation that deliveries have occurred. Claims to the contrary rely on anonymous sources, unverifiable images, and vague citations of military insiders, none of which meet even the basic standards for reliable reporting in military affairs. Chinese officials have not confirmed any specific export agreement involving the J-10C and Iran. The only statements issued from the Chinese side have been deliberately ambiguous, emphasizing that China is open to cooperation with friendly nations. Notably, no Chinese defense manufacturer, including Chengdu Aircraft Corporation, the producer of the J-10, has made any public declaration of a sale, transfer, or support arrangement involving Iran. Similarly, China's Ministry of National Defense has avoided directly acknowledging any deal. This vagueness is part of a broader diplomatic posture China frequently adopts in its defense relationships, suggesting willingness without committing to deliver, allowing for both influence projection and plausible deniability. The Iranian side, particularly its semi-official and affiliated media, has echoed and in some cases amplified claims about future J-10C acquisition and deployment. This has been especially notable in the aftermath of Iran's recent confrontation with Israel, during which Iran's outdated aircraft suffered operational limitations. The desire to project an image of rising air power has likely incentivized local outlets to exaggerate or outright fabricate claims about incoming advanced fighters. The narrative of Iran receiving 40 J-10Cs is being used internally to reassure domestic audiences and externally to signal deterrence, regardless of its factual accuracy. There is also a broader pattern to consider. Neither Chinese nor Iranian media platforms that have pushed this story have provided technical data, photos of flight operations, pilot training exercises, or delivery ceremonies, all of which are routine for major defense acquisitions. Moreover, independent satellite imagery of key Iranian airbases, such as Mehrabad, Mashhad, and Isfahan, show no new aircraft matching the profile of the J-10C. No new hangar construction or foreign support personnel presence has been detected. These absences are significant because the operational integration of a foreign fighter jet, especially one from a non-Western and non-Russian supplier, requires a large logistical footprint, including maintenance teams, spare parts supply chains, simulator systems, and training support. None of this infrastructure has been observed in Iran. At the strategic level, Chinese arms sales to Iran, especially of frontline combat aircraft, remain politically risky. China is involved in complex economic relations with the United States, the European Union, and regional Gulf countries. An overt delivery of advanced fighters to Iran would trigger significant international reactions, including possible sanctions or political pushback. This makes it unlikely that China would proceed with such a transaction without careful timing, behind-the-scenes diplomacy, and multilateral preparation. The current geopolitical environment does not support the likelihood of such a deal moving forward in secrecy. Despite public narratives claiming that Iran has received advanced J-10C fighters from China, there is no physical, technical, or documentary evidence to support that these jets have entered Iranian service. All available data indicates that Iran has expressed interest in acquiring them, and China has not ruled out future cooperation, but no deliveries have occurred. These false or exaggerated reports serve propagandistic purposes and reflect the use of military misinformation to shape perception, influence foreign audiences, and project a narrative of strength without changing the underlying reality. Until actual aircraft are spotted, tracked, or verified by open-source intelligence or credible institutional confirmations, these reports remain speculative and unsubstantiated.